we go. Here we go. Welcome back to JB Reviews. I have a 2023 Ford F250 Super Duty trimmer and 23 Ford F150 trimmer. In this video, we're gonna just kind of get an idea of fuel economy, performance, unloaded, and yeah, special shout out to Larry H. Miller here in Salt Lake City. This is a super Ford store. If you are in the market, both of these trucks are available. Be sure to ask for Diego. Let's drive the F250 first because yeah, this truck ain't gonna be here long. All my friends who ask me what truck should they buy, they all say they want a half ton. I say no, go get a 3/4 ton truck. I promise you, you will thank me in the future. And that might sound a little biased because they probably don't even have trailers in some cases. But you have to understand, I really do think that most people who buy these trucks, they don't want this big one because they don't think they need it. But in time, trust me, you're gonna need it. And when you hear these horsepower and torque numbers, you might just buy it just because of that. So let's go ahead and discuss it now. So here is the legendary high output PowerStroke. This is the first model year for this engine, and it's the only diesel you can get with the trimmer. You cannot get the standard output. 500 horsepower, 1,200 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a 10-speed transmission known as a 10R140. Let's see how it puts the power down. Here we go.
30, 60,
60. Now that wasn't bad at all. Wow, that wasn't bad at all. This truck did what, 0 to 60 in 8.11 seconds. That's probably my best. I did one on XLT, which is probably a little bit lighter than this truck, but it was F350. And yeah, I don't think I did 8.11. But yeah, this truck, it rides and handles extremely well. I think a lot of people don't buy these trucks because they're afraid that they're gonna be uncomfortable. They do ride harsher, but when you're on like a road like this, I'm on the highway right now, and I'm cruising. And I couldn't tell you whether this was a half ton or a Super Duty unless I looked at the side of the truck, because it does feel extremely comfortable. And that's probably a little bit in part to the 35s. 35s do give you a cushionier ride, and the dirt tracks don't have that much noise. But when I've driven trucks with the dirt tracks in the past, not these trucks, but like Chevy trucks, they are not good tires. I don't know if they're just getting a bad batch of them or what, but they are definitely a lot quieter on this truck. I mean, you can still hear the road noise, but here. Yeah, 67. I'm hitting a lot of bumps too, so that does pick up on the bumps. 68 by the window. 65 out back. So yeah, this truck is quiet. The steering, I probably would like to drive this truck more or less in sport mode because it would tighten up the steering a little bit. And of course, you know, eco's always best if you're just cruising on the highway. Running at around about 70 miles an hour. The RPMs are like right around 1,500 RPM. So this truck does have a 355 rear end, and that's the lowest gear you can get with these Super Duty trimmers with the diesel. Now if you get a gas, you can get the 430s. But we'll be to the midpoint here, and I'll show you guys where we are for fuel economy. As you guys probably already saw, we're doing really dang good with this truck. So this is why you buy a Super Duty, because you never know. You might get a bigger trailer in the future and you don't have to upgrade your truck. So here are the numbers. Overbuilt axles, 5,200 pound rating, 6,240 in the rear, 11,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating, and check that out, 3,135 pounds of payload. And just like that, we are pretty much at the midpoint, exit 11. And this is actually a different route that I normally take because there's a little bit of traffic elsewhere. But here's where we are. We've driven 7 miles, so we should get about 14 miles total. And we're doing 18.6. What? Wow, it's gonna keep going up too because I'm just coasting right now. So yeah, I'll check back in when we get to the dealership. We just pulled back in. I'm at 18.8, so we'll just pull up right here. This is where we stopped both times. So 18.8, 14.9 miles driven in a big pickup truck. Let's go ahead and drive the F150 Tremor. We're now currently driving the F150 Tremor. And I forgot to mention, both of these engines are forced induction. So they both use turbos. This has 2 turbos versus the big turbo out of that Super Duty. But let's go ahead and discuss some of the performance out of this 3.5 liter V6. Now don't get it twisted. This twin turbo V6 puts down big performance numbers. I mean, this truck has more torque than the standard 7.3 in this truck. 400 horsepower, 500 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a 10-speed transmission, which is the 10R 100, I believe. 373 with the locker out back. Let's see how it does. Here we go.
30, 60,
7.80, 0 to 60. And the F250 did 8.11, right? That's not bad. Like, so that truck has 500 horsepower compared to the 400, right? And this truck has 500 pound-feet of torque compared to 1,200. But the weight to power ratio, you know, that Super Duty is pretty heavy. So with that being said, I am pretty pleased with the numbers for this truck. Again, these trucks are new, so once they get 1,000 miles or so on them, they start to do a little bit better in terms of their performance. So let's go ahead and just say it now. This truck, it drives like a half ton. Drives like a half ton. The General Grabber tires are amazing. I wish that they had a tire for the Super Duties. I don't know if General Tire makes a capacity for something that big, but $65, $66. About $67, $68 on the window. $65 out back. So it's pretty much the same as the Super Duty in terms of the sound in here. And these are both off-road pickups, and they have a little bit more aggressive tires, so they're going to be a little bit more louder. So let's go ahead and look at the RPMs on this truck. So we're doing about 65 miles an hour at 1,600 RPMs. It's kind of hard to get up to 70, but it looks like 70 miles an hour is 1,700 RPM. So that's pretty dang good. But I gotta start getting over because we should be to the midpoint in a couple miles here, and I'll show you guys where we are for the fuel economy. As far as the numbers go on the door for the F150, axles are going to be a little bit lower at 3,600 pounds front, 3,800 pounds rear. Gross fuel economy rating is going to be 7,000 pounds, and then payload is 1,547. So this truck weighs about 5,400 pounds, and the Super Duty weighs about 7,800 pounds, a little bit more than 7,800 pounds. So that's the difference with these trucks, is you're going to have a little bit more robust truck when you're towing, because that extra weight does turn into more stability. But I will say, if you have a new house with a new driveway, 8,000 pounds will tear up your driveway in about a couple years. So just keep that in mind too. And just like that, we have made it to exit 11. So we're at 16.5, so we're a little bit lower than what the diesel was, but keep in mind, diesel fuel is a little bit more efficient than gas. And this truck does have a slightly higher axle ratio too, in terms of the numeric number, but it's a lower gearing compared to the Super Duty. Now, I am going through this light, so I did stop here, and I was probably here for a while. I dropped probably like 1 MPG on that trip because it was such a long light, And if I go through this one, then I'm gonna probably be like a couple minutes ahead. You'll see that on the time. But yeah, I'll go ahead and ship back in when we get back to the dealership, okay? Pulling back into the dealership now. And don't be shocked by the fuel economy. But yeah, we're at 18 MPGs. So we finished off at 18 MPG, 14.7 miles driven. But if you're looking to tow a trailer anything over 7,000 pounds, I think you should at least consider a 3/4 ton, because the stability, the brakes, I mean, I didn't discuss this in this video, but even the tires are a little bit more robust compared to what's on the F150. So you're just gonna have a lot more gear and a lot less things you have to buy and upgrade. So if you're looking to tow on the high end of 7,000 pounds, I would recommend you probably consider a little bit stiffer sidewall compared to, you know, getting a Super Duty where you don't have to do anything to this truck to tow, because it's already built for that. But I hope you guys liked the video. Special shout out again to Larry H. Miller, Super Ford. If you are in the market, these trucks are available. Diego did help me in getting these keys, so be sure to look out for him. And I'll see you guys soon.